Hello and welcome everyone to the LCS Challengers League. We've hit our second week of playoffs, which means more eliminations are bound. I'm your caster for the day, Eric Deserex Patran. Joining me on the desk, of course, telecaster Matthew Cubby Samuelson, taking the big brain role. We have a very special guest, one of the best to do it in the mid lane semi-pro space, and that is going to be Ryoma, joining us from Evil Geniuses Challengers. Are you ready to enjoy League from the other end, Ryoma?
Yeah, pretty excited. We got some good matches on today.
Yeah, we got some pretty good ones, especially when we're talking about the lower bracket and how many eliminations can be coming up here.
Yeah, I gotta say, we're dropping 4 teams, as you mentioned today. I think that we have really good matchups, actually, on both streams. I know I'm kind of bummed I get to miss out on Team Liquid versus CLG. I think that's actually a really big match. One of those teams could be eliminated a lot earlier than I thought in the tournament, but I'm gonna have to see which teams perform today and move on.
All right, Ryoma, are you familiar with the product? Have you watched the stream a little bit?
Some of it, yeah.
All right, well, we got something called the NA Talent Update. You know, we like to have a little bit of fun here on the broadcast. So let's pull that up right now to get you familiar with it.
Welcome back to another NA Talent Update Playoffs Edition. Now, I know we said goodbye for a few weeks. We had Kangas take over, and, well, there are a couple others that we have forgotten about. Can't forget about this part of North America. So, want to welcome back the Canadians.
Thanks, Cubby. Up here in Canada, we don't tend to have the greatest luck when it comes to our playoffs. Good thing we're esports casters and have lots of great Canadian talents in the NACL.
Cloud9 Challengers was our top seed going into playoffs, and oh, look at that, eh? A Canadian jungler. You can't tell me Tomio being on this team is just a coinkydink.
Oh, what about our top provisional team? Cincinnati may be in Ohio, but the fear comes from Faisal. Not every day a rookie steps into this league and does this well, eh?
Dignitas has been one of our top teams, all split, and is looking great so far in playoffs. And to no surprise, check out that bot lane Sierra, 2 Canadians, Spawn and Diamond, a fantastic duo.
They might have 2 Canadians, but oh, look at FlyQuest Challengers. They have 3 Canadians. That might be the most of any squad.
Oh wait, AoE Gold has 3 as well, and these 2 teams are playing each other soon. That's gonna be a crazy Canadian showdown. I can't wait to watch it.
Oh wait, deep down. These teams are in the lower bracket. One of them's getting eliminated.
Ah, oh, sorry.
With playoffs in full swing, we have said goodbye to 4 of our teams in the North American Challengers League. So, to get a full diagnostic on what went wrong and what to see from them later, we picked up Steve the Recruiter to get his thoughts.
All right, end of the split. We got some performance reviews to get through, so let's get started. It's no lie CLG Faith had a rough split. With a total of 3 roster changes across 3 different roles, the team just wasn't able to hit their stride by playoffs. That said, in the lower bracket, they picked up a win against Wildcard, the second best provisional team. But they still have a target on their back for relegations. I look forward to the continued growth of NXI on his return to competitive and for newcomers like Sketch and Aaron. Oh, Fly Fam, the team that could have ended with way more wins, but whose lack of experience held them back. But don't hold that against them, because a team with semi-pro rookies in both solo lanes and 3 different junglers this split managed to win more than a few early games. I'll be watching players like Lunacia and Hyper closely in relegations, as I expect scouts on Challengers teams will too. We were all excited when after the NACL tryouts, TL announced that they were also building the TL First team. With 1 roster swap midway through the split, I feel that despite their lack of wins, Aspect in particular showed solid development. They were never expected to be contenders, but they showed promise of bigger things to come. Also, Sturdy still got it. Unfortunately, EG just never got their full roster together due to visa issues, and despite Ryoma joining the team mid-split and performing well, they couldn't end the season strong. Also, the meta never suited their star jungler Shaden, but from what we've heard behind the scenes, the growth of these players this split was more about establishing a positive team environment. Give them another split, and I would not be surprised to see them top 6 in summer, especially if King is able to make it.
His name's Neo because he might be the chosen one. A fight that started with an engage on him, ended with his own pentakill, and that is our big booty of the week.
Yar! Welcome into the big booty of the week. And for this week's booty, we got a fine coffer to offer. Batten down the hatches, me laddies. There be a storm a brewing. These old souls be locked in combat with lily-livered privateers. But the best thing to sink a ship is a spot of rum and a fire in the hull. And with our plunder, our buccaneer swagger with 3 sheets to the wind, blew in the gills with our victory. But ahoy! What's this? There still be one shark bait left standing. Only prompter to let old Captain Neil give one more to Davy Jones. And let that be a lesson to you landlubbers. A blunderbuss full of feathers still be a blunderbuss full of something. That's our big booty of the week.
That's been it for this week's NA Talent Update. Thanks to all my friends who helped on out. Best of luck to our Challengers teams as they run through that playoff bracket. That's it for us this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, may your week be filled with positive gaming experiences.
All right, welcome back. Fun little video right there with the talent update. Kind of sad to see our friends from the Great White North now currently in the lower bracket. Sorry to our Canadian Cubby. What do you got going on right there? Are we celebrating a little early?
I mean, actually a little late. I figured I'd throw this on after the talent update. That video edit was done. But I am proud to announce that, yesterday, this was actually given to me in the St. Paddy's Day tradition known as being laid by Kangas. So just figured I'd share that with the stream.
LCS caster King.
And we're going to move on after that too. Yeah, very fast. We'll get out of that very quickly here.
All right. As we proceed forward in playoffs, we have the topic of who is getting eliminated in the tournament so far. And CLG Faith, Evil Geniuses Challengers, FlyFam, and Team Liquid First, all going to fall. It is a very important thing to mention FlyFam, TLF, and CLGF because those are provisional teams. And falling right now means they're going to be down into that promotion relegation tournament. That's going to take place April 17th to the 23rd. So they're going to have to fight for the right to get back into the NACL.
Yeah, and I got to say with the 3 provisional teams, I'm not too surprised. I do want to credit EGM playing a really close series against AoE, as we'll see AoE later here today. But unfortunately, EG drops, and at least fortunately, we get Tommy for the day. So we'll be good to have your insight, Ryoma.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and goodbye to some of our teams. Definitely hope for the best when it comes to that promotion and relegation tournament that they will be facing off. They have a month to prepare, so we'll see what they can bring as they get hot and ready for that, Gubby.
And it's wild to think that today we're going to say goodbye to 4 more teams, and also 4 more teams throughout this week. So end of this week, we only have 4 teams left standing in the LCS Challengers League. The split's been fast and furious, and it's going to be a crazy 4 days here.
Yeah, a little nice segue right there, Cubby, as last week we didn't have our stats working the way they were intended to, so we got them fixed up. Kind of feels like a homework assignment, but we're bringing it up. It is going to be the Samsung SSD Fast 5, and let's take a look at some of these stats that our teams were able to get. Anything pop out to you, Cubby, right away?
I mean, our jungler is getting level 6 that fast. Keel on the Karthus, I guess only 4 seconds ahead. I gotta believe that might be weak. But I know that we were talking earlier in the day. I know that our first match is TSM versus Wildcard, Ryoma. I know that we don't really think that mid's gonna have a huge impact on this game, given how each team plays, but we're definitely looking towards that top side.
And so, wrapping up with the Samsung SSD Fast 5, let's bring it over to the playoffs bracket, because honestly, this week it's going to be a bit of a red wedding. 2 matches in the upper bracket, those are the only ones that are going to have their extra lives. But when it comes to the lower bracket, the rest of the week will be mostly focusing on that, and eliminations are bound.
Again, saying goodbye to 4 teams today, 8 moving forward. And Ryoma, any matchups that stand out to you? I know I highlighted TL versus CLG. Any that you're looking at, whether it's our stream or the other stream today?
Probably the TSM series today, and probably I guess the C9 series as well. C9 versus is it Fear?
Yeah,
that looks pretty big.
Did you by chance catch the best of 2 that they split throughout the season? Because it was a crazy series that we had.
I heard it was 1-1, right?
Yeah, it was a 1-1.
That's really surprising to me as well.
Yeah, it was a huge surprise. Fear, they took game 2 in, I think, a 40-minute banger. There was a crazy scenario that, we keep on playing the clip from the match because, Manui went off. But also, Fear just played really well as a team. I know that's a compliment. They've really gotten a lot behind the scenes, and definitely won. I mean, they're going to be up against a tough task.
It was
in
also with
C9.
M&S too, right?
I believe it was Diplex's one of his first games, but it was right around where the substitution was made.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, it was honestly a really good best of 2, and hopefully that's a good best of 3 on the upper bracket.
Personally, I'm excited for some of the matches we have today. We're trying to figure out what that last team that is going to be safe from that promotion relegation tournament is going to be. There's going to be a lot of implications on the games that play out, but you can see how close Wildcard and AoE are to each other. If they somehow take wins right there, they would be fighting for that spot. Stay safe. Let's look at the matches today because this is pretty much what we're going to be watching on the day coming up right now. We're starting off with TSM versus Wildcard. We're going to round it off at the end of the day of FlyQuest Challengers versus AoE. Provisional teams, they got to fight right now and they got to bring it up big.
Yeah, so big thing with today is if Wildcard or if AoE drops, they're in the promotion relegation bracket. If both Wildcard and AoE drop, it is still AoE that will be in the promotion relegation tournament, as the tiebreaker is regular season win-loss, which Wildcard wins. So you got to believe that, I mean, Wildcard, they want to obviously stay alive in playoffs, but this would open up a door for AoE if they can somehow beat FlyQuest to actually dodge out on that tournament. Definitely something to look out for, as of course we do have that other tournament coming up later in the year. But really excited to talk about this matchup. And Ryom, I know that you got buddies on each side of the rift. Especially we're looking at the top lane. It's going to be really important. And I do want to have you start with TSM here.
Last time I was playing TSM before, their top side was like really strong. I think they were like kind of hitting most of the early game for them, and then Neo is playing kind of the scaling champs. Kind of like playing Zyra Khan and stuff, and I think they kind of carried the team fights after. I think that like team identity is like pretty strong.
And they've been trying to really get to that identity for a while, as a lot of the veteran players on this roster have been stepping up to help the newer talent that's here develop. They weren't given the best hand, but they're trying to make the best of it, and now on the brink of elimination, it's time to see what that's amounted to. Pulling up our next roster, they're going to be facing off against, one of the favorites within the tournament, at least in a fan sense, and that's going to be Wildcard.
This team, I know that everyone, behind the scenes, they almost don't want to face Wildcard because they just play weird. And I think the way they play, I mean, it's called weird. They obviously have their own picks, but I think that you really hitting on it, before we started the broadcast realm, and just talking about how much this team prioritizes Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, when we first matched them too, they were pretty good around, just Dragon setups. I think they had, more I wouldn't even say experience. They were just more prepared, I guess, around these Dragon scenarios, and I think they play around their ways relatively well. They know which lanes they're gonna go through, and I think it's really important when it comes to those scenarios. And I think they've dealt with these high pressure scenarios now really well. I think they've all had really banger games, 30 plus minutes majority of their games.
And facing off against TSM. Now, TSM, at least in playoffs so far, we've been seeing a lot of life, both from the bottom lane. Neo has been playing a lot of that Xayah to kind of accelerate TSM in that bottom lane, as well as Scarin and a lot of the early jungle pathing that he's been trying to set up for the squad.
Yeah, and I know that diving into this matchup, we have actually been talking a lot about the marksman for each of these teams, because it really does feel like Neo has played very well in Challengers. He's ripping teams apart, especially on the Xayah, wrapping up the series that got TSM here with that big pentakill. I mean, that's been impressive, but also Lens on the other side, I got to say, is someone that still, as a rookie in this league, has really impressed us with his play. And I think that I very much agree with Ryoma's diagnosis of top side being how TSM gets ahead early, and also Wildcard really prioritizing that Dragon. It puts a big emphasis on the bot lane, on which one can get ahead and stay ahead in the games. Because I know that Wildcard, they definitely, the one lane they feels like they do draft quite a bit of priority is that bot lane.
Now, I want to give one more question over to Ryoma. Personally, over in the mid lane for Wildcard's Ligo, it's kind of been in the space for a while. I want to know your general take on him and how he's been performing throughout the season.
I'd say Soligo has been pretty good. I'd say most of their success is around, honestly, just them working as a team, and I think he's kind of fitting into that. I think this is honestly, I think this is the first team I've seen him play pretty well in like connecting with all his teammates, and I think he knows like kind of his identity now. Just like I think he's played like the Cho'Gath and like Pantheon mid against me like many times, not many times, sorry, like just here and there. I think they're just working together now as like working around his champion pool. When I guess I feel like other teams like previously with him would kind of force him. I wouldn't say force, but make him like play different champions and not really his style, I'd say. But now I think he's really like slotting in well.
I think it's a really good call. Like, I mean, I think back to like the Set versus Silas game he played too. I love that matchup for Set. It wasn't a win for Wildcard, but Sligo played it really well. I think his flexibility has been really big for this team because everyone talks about the crazy champs that like they play the pocket picks. Well, I think very like under the radar. Sligo, he's actually played the most unique champs on this team. And it's been obviously the Orianna, like being that bread and butter, but also a lot of the flexibility has really helped Wildcard, kind of patch these weird comps or like different off-meta champs together through the mid lane. And Sligo's kind of the one that keeps them together as the game goes on.
Well, Ryoma, draft is ready, so we're going to have to bid you adieu as we head into game number 1 of TSMC versus Wildcard. All right. Now, I want to continue the conversation on to Sligo because, you know what? I got a comparison that I think you might like, Cubby.
Really?
Right now, I feel like Sligo is most comparable to Taylor Swift. When we got early Sligo back in, say, like 2019, 2020, very country girl, right? Just played mostly to the control mages and whatnot. Okay. The moment we got Sligo into Wildcard, it felt like the Reputation album just dropped. This is like the boss phase that we have with Sligo. This is Sligo unhinged. Look at what Wildcard made Sligo do.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay. You know what? You didn't have me until that.
That's just for you.
You didn't have me until that one. I was throwing that out there. That's a nice touch there at the end. But yeah, I mean, Sligo, he's been. I feel like just very flexible piece in the mid lane. And in playoffs, I think that they have had a big priority on the Annie, the Gragas, and especially that Orianna that we always have to look out for on the Wildcard draft. But Wildcard, starting off on that red side. Wildcard, they prefer to play red side. They have a much better win rate on it. I think a lot of that is because they oftentimes will either power pick bot or they will save a support counter for bot lane as well to make sure they have that priority to play for some of those early dragons. And I see Annie for TSM. Gragas is on the board. Sligo's willing to play that matchup mid, but also we have a Nunu that could be taken here that we got to keep our eyes out for Wildcard, especially with the draft they have as Jinx Orianna. That's a very sound identity already for team fights.
Yeah, already coming out the gates. Wildcard taking those 2 picks and doing their homework on top of that. They will ban away the Rakan, something that has shown success for 100 Thieves when they did have their match against TSM. Took that away. It took away a lot of power from that bottom lane of both Neo and Dreku. So they're going to have to adapt and figure out what is the next thing they need to grab to match Lens and Duo King.
I do like the Wukong. Wukong's been really good in playoffs, actually. It's been a 71% win rate across NACL on this patch. And I think it combos really well with Annie. Also a bit of a deny from the Orianna. Wukong Orianna is rather deadly. So TSM going to try and secure that mid-jungle duo win with the Wukong. I think there are some options for Keel to contest, but very strong center of the map already for TSM. And they're going to need to use that to snowball bot because Zeri got to get outranged a little bit by the Jinx and the Orianna, so need to make sure that Zeri is ahead so she can step up and deal the damage she needs to do.
I want to see what this R3 is going to be. Against Team Liquid, they put this pick over towards top as they were trying to kind of draft out for Moose Hater to get the bans onto the next phase and be safe over there. But you were talking about it a little bit earlier, Cubby. It was left open. The Nunu is there. It's time for some Nunu gaming.
He was rolling, man. This Nunu, it's really scary, and I think that again, when we were talking with Ryoma just about this series beforehand, he was very, adamant, like, hey, Wildcard, they will fight early drags, like, almost no matter what. They love this objective. They have the second highest dragon percentage in the league for NACL, which I think says a lot, given this team was literally middle of the pack in the 8th seed. And a lot of that, I mean, Nunu, it enables that playstyle so easily because of how strong you are early in those skirmishes and how easy it is to secure the dragon as well, given his kit. So already Wildcard, they have the range in the Jinx. They're looking for maybe a support counter pick, but also they have a big team fight set up for Jinx later and that early dragon control. I like this start for Wildcard.
And it's a good historical pick coming out for Keel. kind of was basically a new one trick at some point under the name Frosty Nomad. So very, very capable onto this champion. Comfort Force Lego on top of that. So far, first part of the draft is going well for Wildcard. TSM, we'll see what they can bring for the next stage right now. They still have that Annie. They still got the Wukong, which does present some good pick and team fight. We'll see what they can pair alongside this as we head into phase 2.
More top lane bans. I gotta say, maybe Moose Hater's setting up for a Fiora. With the Jax Olaf being taken away, might be an option. Definitely one of the blinds that Moose Hater has feel a little bit more comfortable on. Also, Zac is still an option. And I know that he played Zac into Jax earlier. Not exactly sure what all the Zac matchups are, but Zac would be really powerful here if you are able to get on the Zeri, on the Annie. Of course, combining that with the Orianna. It's been a combo that Wildcard has been running all year, especially as Saligo. This is his 11th Orianna game. Of the split. That's pretty that's quite a bit, given, you know, we've played what, I think they've played 36 games, so good chunk.
Saligo will provide that team fight with the Orianna. The back line trying to dive on it. That's what we know Moose Hater to do. So we'll look to see what he grabs. For now, TSM, likely Doxa going to be on the Akali over here. You can flex this around quite a bit, actually, now that I look at this. And one more pick being hovered, Sejuani. Sure, the allocation is enough for TSM.
So, interestingly enough, they put that Annie in the bot lane, so they get a better matchup into the Orianna. Of course, that is a flex that was available. I was expecting Annie to be mid, just given that we haven't seen Draku pilot that quite as much. It's been mostly in the hands of Doxa. But now we have, actually, is that Sej? Yeah, it's going to be Sejuani top coming out. So, Fiora going to be the answer. It's going to be a lot of engage here for TSM. Again, you can combo with the Annie, the Wukong, the Sejuani now as follow-ups. But Sej is not going to be in that jungle. So if they want to try and snowball Akali, it's going to have to be Dox and Haas are trying to link up and make plays together in this game.
Man, they baited me with that Alawi hover for just a second, locked into Fiora. That's big comfort coming out from Moose Hater. Like, we know him to be a Garen player, but over on AGT, a lot of big plays were made by Moose Hater onto that Fiora pick. So, still comfort for him coming out there, and that seems to be the case across the board for Wildcard. They have a pretty strong composition both in how they play it and how they like to play.
I mean, for Wildcard, they have a way to get Jinx resets. It's Nautilus, Nunu, Orianna. Wherever depth charge is, just follow up with a shockwave, and if flashes are down for TSM, that could easily be a first kill for the Jinx. That's the game plan for Wildcard. That's solid front line. Make sure the Jinx can get that first kill. And then on the side of TSM, I think they need to play 3 lanes and hit this mid game hard. It's going to be tough to beat Fiora in the side lanes as this game goes on, but I don't know, like, unless TSM are able to win team fights very hard earlier on the first few objectives, I don't know how good their team fighting is as time moves on. Yeah. It's really going to rely on Doxa finding targets.
And they got good team fight tools, but as you said, Doxa has to find those targets. TSM Challengers versus Wildcard. Elimination is the lower bracket, round number 2. Wildcard would not want to lose here because promotion relegation fate would be out of their hands. They'd be waiting for the results of that AoE game to go through. So show up big, but TSM looking to kind of show the strides of improvements they've found. And it's been a little bit of an inconsistent season for TSM, but they were able to finish in a moderate position, not exactly where they wanted.
I gotta say, for TSM, I think it's really all about the momentum from taking down COG. Because that is a significant, the biggest upset that we've had so far in playoffs. And I think that, you know, given the second round matchups, like TSM, obviously, they fell to 100 Thieves. That was a rather one-sided series where TSM, I think, made some plays they shouldn't have gone for with some of the scaling comps. But this time, they do have a comp that I feel like they can make plays on early. It's just going to be about, you know, can they find those angles and where?
I'm going to be pretty curious about the Neo versus Lens matchup. We did highlight it. I personally want to know how good Neo actually is versus how much of it was the Xayah Rakan abuse, right? CLG didn't ban away. He went berserk on it. 100C got nice the Rakan bans both games. The thing about the 100C game was it was Unforgiven, quite literally the best marksman in the league. So I think this game's going to be a good measure for Neo.
Yeah, again, that focus on the bot laners to Neo has been really good stepping into this role for the second year in a row. Of course, last year it was Dignitas LCS 2, Dignitas Academy, where Neo did make grand finals through the upper bracket with that team. I think played very well. And I mean, going up against the rookie Lens, I think it really speaks to the fact that we are putting a microscope on this matchup to how well Lens has played this season. I think that Lens has really stepped up. I know that he felt like he could have maybe carried that Game 3 against TL, but hey, he carried the Game 3 against COG Faith. It's definitely something that he can ride. He continues to make strides in his first split.
I agree with that, especially with the story of Lens. Like, back when he was on 100 Thieves Next, he was kind of outshined by Sniper. It's hard to not be excited about Sniper. Yeah. And against amateur teams, he performed well, but against Academy, I had a little struggles there. But now focusing onto this top side, Svenskeren looking to try and get a gank on the Moose Hater. Able to get a little bit of chip damage, not going to burn out his sums.
Honestly, well done by Moose Hater. So he scouted out level 1 that Svenskeren was starting bot side because he wasn't on the blue buff. And then he has the push, no level 3 for Haunser. Means that there was no, full kit for Sejuani available to try and make that play. So Moose Hater spots the jungler, gets a nice trade for himself, and you can see Duo King. He knows that he can walk in here as Svenskeren was just spotted, so getting some nice scouting down for the Nunu.
And clearing out that vision, keeping the map dark for TSM, and letting Kill kind of just run the map. I always get excited seeing the snowball moving on the mini-map, just wondering, where's Kill going to go, man? Where is he going to go next?
So the game plan for Wildcard with this clear, it's... Oh, hold on. Keel actually just canceled the base. So bot, they do have item advantage if he wants to look.
Oh yeah, now focusing down into the bottom lane. The ward is there, so spotted out gives a little bit of time for TSM to try and find a retreat. Neo able to side snap the snowball, and we'll be okay in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Keel's not going to lose too much for that, as he did start with his red buff, so he can just reset. The game plan for Keel is on the second clear. He's going to try and wrap up and do the dragon. And that's where all eyes have to be for Wildcard. Around this, 540, 550 dragon. We'll see if Keel skips over the bot side camps in order to hit an earlier timer. But that really has been the bread and butter strategy here for Wildcard. And it's enabled, this is a team where they do like scaling. They draft for other champions to interact at later stages of the game. Getting those early dragons uncontested based on, the champions you have in your macro play does buy a lot of time to get that scaling in, because you can drop those dragons later when your team comp's not online.
And you can see the way the camps are spawning. He will be pathing, as you said, over towards that Drake. Lots of control coming out from Wildcard towards that bottom side. Look at the deep vision. They got it. They got it towards the golems. They got it towards the raptors. All put around towards the inner end of that jungle. Make sure that Wildcard have supreme control this bot side dragon.
You can see Svenskeren, he's a little bit behind on his second clear. And I'm really curious to see what he does after the Raptor camp, because Raptors, they are spotted. And you can see Keel right now. He's skipping over the wolves. I'm going to skip over the Gromp because they have bot push. It is item advantage for Lens. He used the power of the Jinx in this matchup to get a 3-wave crash. He based, he got a Cole, so Jinx is up, and I think that's going to be enough with the TP of Soligo to just melt this dragon.
Doxa steps up to put up a ward in the river, but what can you really do? Priorities still into the bottom lane. Svenskeren, as you said, spotted due to all that deep vision that Wildcard did place earlier. Kill still soloing this, but Svenskeren not far off.
He knows, yeah, that's a control ward that's going to go down, and you can't even flip against Nunu. He has the chomp, right? So, a part of the strategy again for Wildcard. And this pick, I feel like it's a pick that you really need to take away from this team. It fits their identity really well. And we can see Keel making good use of that Nunu. Taking the slowest dragon I think I've ever seen. But hey, it goes over to the side of Wildcard at the end.
Mentioning Keel in this Nunu pick, the early season of Wildcard, all we talked about was Garen and banning that away, and this is how you beat Wildcard. The interview with Moose Hater was like, I am so happy that Soligo and Keel started drawing bans away, because they have their big picks as well, this Nunu being one of them. And as we got deeper and deeper into the season, it was like, there's so many different things that you have to take away from Wildcard to actually get them out of that space.
I know it's something I talked with Soligo about before their match against TL too. Just the fact hey, we have the meta that we like to play. We have our champions. But we also realize that, the patch changed and then there is a meta that we have to figure out and fit. So a lot of it's about them just finding the balance and finding out a way to make that work. Jinx definitely something that we're seeing a lot of right now in the meta. Yeah. And I love the comp that Wildcard has built around the Jinx. Feels like it makes a lot of sense to me with the team fight as we move on. Again, for Wildcard, it's just going to be about buying the time to get there. As currently we have mid hovers and collapse here on the top side. This could be spicy.
Here comes the snowball, looking for Hanser. Does have the Arctic Assault, so in no real danger right there.
There's no spice.
Yeah, quite a bit of setup coming out. I mean, Rift Herald's going to be spawning, and Wildcard are looking to fight for some control over the Scuttle Crab. Will follow the way of TSM.
Now we'll see if Shelly can bring the spice. I'm trying to think of like a Dune reference here with like the the worm spawning or the Shelly spawning.
A Doom reference?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Beetlejuice and the whole door with like the sandworms.
Okay. I mean
Maybe that's more
a,
barren. Maybe that's more barren.
That still is a Dune reference in itself.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Today I learned. I'm learning all kinds of things today, Cody.
Yeah. I mean, first it was St. Patrick's Day traditions. Now it's worms and old references. Glad I can help out. I see what else we learned throughout this series. As I know, we're gonna have to keep our eyes on that Rift Herald here, Desirux. It feels like Moose Hater, he's actually taking just canceled the recall. He doesn't have TP. Haunster does, so if Haunster wants to base and TP back, he would have a pretty big item advantage, and we actually see Wildcard trying to break that.
Yeah, Svenskaren's behind him. Got to be quick right now, and ooh, this is a good spot coming out for Wildcard. Haunster is nowhere near safety, so first blood found by Keel.
Yeah, Haunter was trying to get that wave in. He has the TP available, but Wildcard, they attack him before he's able to TP back. Now, Haunter can still contest this Rift Herald fight. Haunter didn't burn anything there, so I think props to him on realizing that he was dead. The fact that he has the spells up means that this still could actually be a fight that could go TSM's way.
Yeah, I'm looking for that teleport coming through from Haunter. So he's going to be there, and Keel is running low, gets caught by the Cyclone. Has to flash over the wall. Moose Hater waiting. Svenskaren doesn't get in range in time. Should be the reset over onto the Rift Herald. No, Haunter catches it in time, so TSM will secure it.
Okay, it was a little bit goofy here from the side of TSM, but they are able to actually secure that first Herald, so well done. As Haunter did drop the wave to make sure this goes their way, and TSM, they at least get one of the first really two neutral objectives. Again, a tad goofy, but it worked out.
It worked out in the end. Let's take another look at what was this play right here. Where are we sending the snowball?
I mean, he was spotted. I think that's what our observers trying to tell us.
Right.
So he's spotted on the Raptors, and then he wraps all the way around. Again, Haunter, like, he's low mana. He's trying to get this wave in so he can fire off that TP to contest the Rift Herald. He's dead, and he knows that once this ward's shown. But Haunter, props to him, stays disciplined, doesn't fire off his ultimate, and Svenskaren finds a pretty favorable trade in the end as Keel, I guess he insta-tapped his ult to try and use the shield, or just knew it would be canceled by Wukong. It ended up being a very awkward moment, but Wukong continues to be strong on the patch, and Svenskaren takes full advantage of it.
Svenskaren will have that Rift Herald to place wherever he so pleases. Could accelerate Doxa, get that Akali rolling as fast as possible. Could play towards that top side with Haunter, free up that Sejuani, because you're going to need that pretty soon, considering how fast Wildcard like to stack a lot of these dragons. Speaking of, we got 40 seconds before Mountain Drake does come, and Kill already getting some vision in that direction.
So this is where I'm interested to see what Wildcard does, actually, because it feels like TSM, they have Wukong, Sejuani, Akali. If these three actually make it to a dragon fight, they can win, especially with Tibbers coming in. That is a lot of damage, and Akali being very strong at this point of the game. It's pretty reasonable to think that you could have an execute where TSM can find themselves a winning position. But, does Wildcard actually opt into that fight? Or do they, also feel like, hey, we know TSM's strong right now. Should we even fight at all? That's kind of what I'm looking out for as this dragon's about to spawn.
They very much want this Drake with how much they're roaming around this area. Kill just camping in one of the brushes. Will attempt to gank onto Doxa. Doxa doesn't have flash, but he's nearby his tower and not too much threat. Also has a shroud available if he needs some extra protection there. This is just to free up Saligo and get priority over onto this river.
But you can see that with Nunu showing there, the bot lane of TSM, they've actually snuck into this control war. This is a really nice spot. Again, Annie Wukong, a big combo we're looking out for. And Wildcard there, because Kill showed mid, and he's going to maybe show mid again with another snowball, the bot lane has to pay respect.
Svenskaren's still waiting. Snowball comes out. It's going to land on nothing. A lot of pressure onto Doxa. Svenskaren starts pulling up over towards the dragon. Drake, who's over there. This chain of CC could do a lot for TSM to start off these fights, and it's enough to force away Wildcard. TSM starting the Drake.
I am surprised TSM hit this. I think they are strong right now, but I they don't want to start this objective as, okay, here we go.
All right, greatest snowball ever goes out. There's the Tibbers on to the Nunu, but the shockwave found by Soligo, it's enough to get Lens excited and tearing apart TSM. He'll pop off on the Gatling gun and send them to the respawn.
I mean, everything was burned on the Nunu. He's so tanky, and he doesn't bring damage. He brings the utility. It enables Soligo to hit a huge shockwave as TSM dogpile onto a member that I don't think you want to focus down first as if you are TSM, and they get punished to the maximum degree as Wildcard. They're now off to the races in this game.
Yeah, Soligo hiding in this brush, waiting for that ball delivery. And even if you do catch out kill, that is not the target.
Like, you see him right there. Draku could have flashed onto Soligo. TSM could have had a clean execute with Nautilus, Nunu not being able to get in range, but instead they pile in on the Nunu, and then Soligo just free hit the entire fight. Not the setup that TSM was looking for in Wildcard. This is a huge lead for them now with an Orianna plus a Jinx as this game moves on, Deserux. This is going to be so tough for TSM to play out.
A 2K lead coming out for Wildcard. Make that 3K. Can't do math on the spot. Always got to learn that when you're casting. That's another Drake over to Wildcard on top of that if they want to set up for that direction. Rift Herald going to be challenged over onto this top side. We'll get a few plates going over to Hanser as Svenskeren looking to get the income swinging back to TSM.
That could lead to a first brick for TSM, which would be much needed. But again, it's gold on the Sejuani. You look at the other side of the map, it's a completed Kraken Slayer and a finished Cole for Lens, who is 2-0-2 on this Jinx. He is so fed. Soligo has that Leandri's done, and given the item advantage and where each of these lanes are at, Wildcard, they just get to keep on stacking up these dragons.
Dragon number 2 going over to Wildcard at nearly the 14-minute mark. Kill really playing to that dragon control and even winning out on some of these team fights. Wildcard definitely feeling quite accelerated as they continue in this game number 1.
This start for Wildcard has been, it's so good. Everything we were talking about in this game, right? It's, hey, TSM, they have the mid game, right? They have Wukong, Akali. You can combo that with Annie. You know, can you take down this, two-threat team fight comp for Wildcard? They couldn't, right? They fired everything on the Nunu. So hopefully TSM can learn from that. I think that if they are able to still get that combo off on a priority member, like Lens is down a cleanse, in Svenskeren, it's a knockup, right? So you could at least get enough CC so that a member couldn't flash and you can get Akali and execute. But still, it's a really tough ask for TSM this game, given all the gold the Wildcard has at the moment. They usually shouldn't, given the drafts.
Or TSM, their gold, a lot of that is going to fall onto Hanser now, who did pick up first brick over onto that top side. We did see that visit by Svenskeren, did get it low enough where Hanser could just brute force it himself. Now Hanser looking to roam out over towards the bottom side as TSM get loose on the map.
And we'll see. I think Herald, again, like TSM, they want to find fights at the moment. Soligo has TP, so if anything gets started here by TSM, Soligo could respond. And right now, he's got that Leandri's finished, and he's working in the Hanser, so Ori's going to feel pretty comfortable on that side lane, where usually that's a weakness of Ori. You can use the Akali to target. So I think the lane assignments here for Wildcard, not bad.
They're committing much more over towards this Rift Herald. Hanser catching the bottom wave.
And Soligo's walking up.
Kill throws a snowball, doesn't land on Svenskeren. Draku's there, though. No flash for Draku, going to be a little bit harder to land as Tibbers, unless he has Svenskeren for the setup. Cyclone will force the flash out of Lens, now focusing on the Duo King. Duo King takes a lot of damage, but here comes Soligo. Absolute Zero goes off, waiting for the shockwave to be found. Lens is excited, still getting more damage in. Draku can't click close enough. Zap onto the back of Draku, and here is Moose Hater looking to find Lens' Svenskeren, but he finds nothing but dirt. Moose Hater will get a kill, and Wildcard find 4.
Hey, Lens just gets the chill, man. He's just playing back. No one has touched Lens in these fights. The front line for Wildcard again. Nunu, Orianna, Nautilus, Jinx. How do you get through this in a front to back as TSM?
Just no way. Wildcard so strong in the early presence on the map, Cubby.
It's a good start on the Lens, but that flash from Lens was fantastic. And again, no one touches it from here. Lens just gets the kite back. Soligo, nice shockwave on the Neo. Neo flashes forward, but he just suicides right into the Orianna. And I mean, from there is just no fight for TSM. Jinx gets resets, and they're cruising as Wildcard. Looking like this is going to be a pretty dominant Game 1 victory already, Deserux. I mean, I just don't know how TSM can come back in this game. It's not like they can even play 3 lanes. You got Fiora on one of the side lanes. You can't match that.
And you need a Dragu to get closer faster to get that stun lock, and without that going through, that means Len stays alive and TSM are in a terrible situation. They just want the next game. Looking over saying, Noah, get the boat. We got to start again. Get the flood. Let's move on to game 2.
I mean, this is how, for me, how TSM dropped into the lower bracket. I think that, like, especially game 1 against 100 Thieves, it took a lot of fights where they were the team that had to take fights early, but they just took poor fights on the enemy side of the map. I think this time around, you know, a lot of focus being thrown into the Nunu, into the Nautilus. Yes, these are champions that, you know, you can cut through, but you're not dealing with a damage dealer. Stoxel was never able to get in the backline to anything in that fight. You had to be taking down the Orianna or the Jinx if you want to have any chance in these team fights. And each big fight that TSM's taken, they haven't even sniffed those champions. And I mean, it's been very one-sided in favor of Wildcard because of that.
TSM, I do want to look at the gold right now to see. Actually, we can't even look at that because Len's under attack by the Cyclone. Takes a lot of damage to the chain of CC. There's no flash this time to protect Lens. Heal shows up with the snowball, but here comes Celico, and the snowball looking to lead to an avalanche. The shockwave pulls Neo right back in. He'll hop over that wall, but he's deep into no man's land, and there's nowhere else to go. Getting chased down by the members of Wildcard, who will stack the deck and take down the marksman of TSM.
I mean, that's the play that we need to see out of TSM, but again, they're too far behind at this point. Wildcard, they had shove in the lanes, they're able to collapse, and that good play, that is exactly what TSM's looking for, gets turned on its head very quickly.
Wildcard really accelerated this game, number 1, very, very early on. And 18 minutes into this, they have a 4K lead. Next dragon is going to be spawning. You know they're going to be setting up for that right away, and TSM have their backs against the wall.
You can see TSM, they're not even looking at the dragon. It is 3 members sprinting towards that top side. Wildcard, this will be sole point for them, uncontested, as this 4K gold lead. Look at where the gold is at, too. I mean, it was 1K on the Jinx, and I think 2.5K, or 1.5K, I should say, on the Orianna. I got caught with live math, too, Deserex. You're not alone here. Trying to bond together. Maybe we'll see if Ryoma can do some live math, you know?
It's all right. It shows we have the caster synergy.
There we go. Okay.
Wildcard setting up over towards this bottom side. TSM going to do the opposite as they'll focus on the Moose Hater. Ooh, so much collapsing on the Moose Hater. They will find that chain of crowd control, stun him up, lock him down. A kill for TSM. Set up for that top lane push. Still matched. Wildcard crashing Shelly into that tier 2.
And good answer, but given a second Herald for Wildcard, it still is an even play, as they're going to take the inner turret. You get slight objective bounty for TSM, so again, I mean, this is the right move for TSM. It's really the only option that they have, so well done to them. But the consequences of this early game, you can still see bleeding into everything else, as again, you just cannot deal with the Jinx and the Ori. Look at how far ahead they are in items, and then also just how well these champions synergize with Orianna. Her ability to, you know, have the shockwave to get that upfront damage for Jinx, but also her kit, the extra move speed, the zone control, the peel. It's so good when you pair it up with these backline marksmen.
And it's one of the most satisfying things if Celico can get that shockwave. Man, the splash damage to the rockets does so much work for Lens. He's currently 3-1-5 onto the game. The marksman for Wildcard doing so well right now, especially against Neo TSM at such a critical moment. Again, this is elimination on the line. This is lower bracket round 2. Wildcard fall here. I said it earlier, their lives will not be on their own hands, so they have to show up big, and they are in this game number 1.
I mean, again, each series that Wildcard wins, it puts them, it's so much more unlikely that they fall into that promotion relegation tournament. I must say, Wildcard, their play the split, they had deserved to avoid that tournament. Of course, being the 8th seed in the regular season, second best provisional team, they've been strong. But, you know, still got to get the job done in playoffs. And so far, Wildcard really looking like they're set up to do so here in this game 1.
I mean, they weren't a flash in the pan. They were full on grease fire, and I felt like way too many teams tried to extinguish it with water. It took a while before people kind of figured out how to draft against Wildcard. Team Liquid did one of the best examples of it.
I still think that people have yet to figure out how to draft in the Wildcard, because I don't know why Keel keeps on getting this Nunu. It's been so good for him, man. Like, it's going to be about to be 2-0 in playoffs. It was 3-1 in the regular season. And you know, the way the Wildcard plays, you know, if you go through the tape, the focus that this team puts on bot lane priority and snowballing that into dragon control, I mean, they get to quite literally do that for free with Nunu, right?
And they'll continue exploiting these advantages that you get from the Nunu as they start dancing around over towards this Baron side. Lots of movement speed, so Kill can make his way across the map in no time, and Dox has got to beware.
Still, no play. I think TSM's just, or Wildcard, I should say, they're just chilling until this Dragon comes up. And I don't think TSM have the damage to even start Baron. So at the moment, the game state's kind of stuck. Like, the only thing they can really play for is that bot outer. And at the moment, Wildcard is going to throw their weight around a little bit in the mid lane and make sure that this mid outer falls in their favor. Should help with the Dragon setup, as it is just one not auto away from going down.
TSM are looking for plays. You can see Hanser on the side, who was trying to meet over into the mid lane. Catch Moose Hater while he's not currently
Throw the
there,
snowball into the turret. See what happens. Oh.
There it is. There's a ward right there, which means, unfortunately for Hanser, Wildcard are well aware of the positioning of TSM. Soft Breeze could take down that mid lane tower.
Yeah, I feel like if your tower's that low, if you just like hit with a snowball, like an objective, you know, it just falls.
Just eat it. Just take a bite.
Oh, that'd be cool. Like that.
I remember the old Season 1 cinematics. They show Cho'Gath eating the tower, and it's like, man, doesn't do that in the game. What's up with that?
Yeah, well, you know, the trailer versus the gameplay, it's kind of like dating profiles, you know. You got to do some good scouting there. Hopefully you don't get too unlucky. But at the moment, scouting report on Wildcards, we're getting pretty true as TSM... Again, a couple of the fights they took early, put them in this position, and TSM, they're going to need to really pull something hot out of the bag as, okay, Svenskeren.
Oh, Svenskeren tries to turn this around off of Kills engaged, double knockup found,
it's good.
And it's one pick onto Soligo. TSM finding the shots. Duo King will bring a Hulk right onto Neo, forces out the flash, and here comes Moose Hater. The Moose is loose, and so is Lens. Chases down, able to take a chomp onto the back of Hanser.
Lens
bringing the damage through, but it's the cleanup crew. Their name is Wildcard, and they've just aced TSM.
That was a really good engage from TSM, but again, they're just too far behind at this point of the game. They find Soligo's Orianna very early on in the fight, but everything was burned. No one could get onto Lens, who again was free hitting in the back line, and he did work. Wildcard, they take two turrets. Lens is sprinting off to do that Dragon, as they're going to look to get Soul and Baron on the back half of the play. And it's a good engage, Desterux. Like, this is what we were asking for from TSM. Svenskeren is a great find with Draku. As, yeah, the second knockup, he chains it into the anti-stun. That's really well played by TSM. The fight's looking good, but I think the Dredge Line on the Neo, that's where things really change. Well played by Duo King, and that's what gets Lens excited and make sure that Wildcard's able to wipe this fight.
Yeah, not having Neo, that was game over for TSM. Completely turned it around, or just a complete cleanup found by Wildcard. That's an ace. That's everything going your way, Wildcard. They don't want to get eliminated right now. They're taking the fight to TSM and want to dominate in game one.
Yeah, I mean, going into the game, too, we were talking a lot about these marksmen, how important Lens is for Wildcard, given their Dragon priority, but also the scaling identity they have. He has to play well in the later stages of the game in the team fight. Neo as well. I think Ryoma said it best. You know, he's going to wait, bide his time, but when he picks the right spots, he can be really good. Neo, unfortunately, picked the wrong spot there as the Dredge Line found him, and Wildcard can continue to wipe the objectives off the map as the last outer falls. I'm going to work on that inner.
Moose Hater looking for those flanks. Something he's become very well known for over on the side. Wildcard Lens already picking up a kill on Draku. Gets a double kill. Svenskeren brings the team fight, but there's no one there to bring the damage. Wildcard will get a triple kill.
Oh, Wildcard caught me off guard there, man. I think I was almost mid-yawn because this game was over. Wildcard, they're keeping me awake, though, with these plays. As Lens 8-1-8 now on the Jinx. It was a big shockwave from Soligo. They got the party started, and Wildcard, we're going to end this party quickly as this game won. Very convincing in their favor.
Looking for the end. Nexus Tower, #1 under attack. Wildcard, a professional team that shocked everyone when it came to the regular season. They're still looking for upsets as they come into playoffs. And in this game, #1, they're definitely bringing the fight, they're bringing the hurt, they're bringing the pain in the Nexus. Few more autos remain for Wildcard to take game #1.
Woo. Oh, boy. All right, Wildcard. That's a start. You cannot ask for a better start of the series. I mean, that is just so well done by the side of Wildcard. Again, I think that a lot of the scouting report that we had on this team, early Dragons, making sure that you are stacking those up and then scaling late game, they were given the victories for free early. And Sligo's Orianna, I mean, we talk about all the champs. You got to take away the Karthus, the Nunu, the Garen, the Zac, the Senna. What about Sligo's Orianna? He's played it in a third of his games. It's been so damn good, and it was really game-changing for Wildcard there.
Some of those shockwaves really turn the tides on a lot of TSM's hopes. Sligoat at this point with some of the plays he's been making. We're going to throw it over to a short break. When we return, we'll have Ryoma for our Rally Cry halftime segment.